everyone, I am Melanie Jongsma, publisher of the Lansing Journal, Lansing's only newspaper. It is our mission to keep our diverse community informed and connected. So this week I want to share with you some information that the Village of Lansing provided at a chamber meeting last month. The meeting was about economic development in Lansing, and there were a number of presentations that I found very interesting. The one that I'm sharing with you here was by Ken Reynolds, Director of Venue Operations in Lansing. And I think it's helpful information for Lansing residents and members of the broader community, and maybe even our YouTube friends who are viewing from farther away. Some of you have mentioned that you are getting more involved in your own local communities and local governments because of the things you see happening here in Thornton Township and Dalton. And I love hearing that. I think that's such a healthy response. Thank you for that. Maybe after watching this video, you'll want to ask your own town's administration about the plans and vision they have for economic development. Ken Reynolds' presentation was about Lansing's 3 signature spaces, or destination drivers, as Ken calls them: Fox Pointe, the Lansing Sports Complex, and the historic Ford Hangar. Now, Lansing residents probably know that these 3 things exist, but you might not be aware that they serve an economic purpose for our community. Ken's presentation at this chamber event was really addressed to business owners, but I think it's relevant for other community members as well. So most of this video will be Ken speaking, and then I did add some of the Lansing Journal's photos and video just to help illustrate the things that Ken is talking about. This is a little different from the videos we typically do, so please let me know in the comments if you think it's helpful or interesting or irrelevant or whatever. I always appreciate your feedback. And now, let's hear from Ken.
We have our 3 primary drivers: Fox Pointe, Ford Hangar, and the Lansing Sports Complex. Each of them is in a different phase of the development right now. Everything from Fox Pointe, which is only 5 to 6 years old, to the Ford Hangar, which is a nearly 100-year-old building that is being converted and renovated into an event venue. Sports Complex, kind of in the middle on the calendar. The village has always owned it, and there have been other organizations that have worked with the village over the years to make programs exist there. We still own it, and we are now running it, and I'll give a couple highlights for that particular venue. So, for Fox Pointe itself, we just wrapped up, again, what was our 6th season, but really our 5th, because the COVID year we only had a couple of events we were able to do. Our Wednesday night concert series ran from June the 5th through September the 11th. It's probably what we are most known for after 5 years. We literally have every Wednesday, we have a band, entertainment, we have an opening act and a headlining act of various genres, musical genres, that we offer to our guests. And then we also have concessions, we have dessert vendor out there, we have a microbrew, our own alcohol and food. So all of that is what helps pay for Fox Pointe and the particular events. We have ticketed events. We call them our Friday Night Lights series. This is where we have 2 maybe more upscale headlining bands, and they play 90-minute sets. Our ticket sales for those were solid this year. One in particular was the most successful one we've had. And again, that's kind of an example of giving the guests 2 really good bands that play in a lot of areas in Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana, and they're getting that for only $15 combined if they buy their tickets in advance. One of our cultural highlights, and this is one of the mayor's favorites, is the Northwest Indiana Symphony that completed their 4th year at Fox Pointe this year. We had an unbelievable weather. Actually, we've had good weather for every single one we've had, but this year it was perfect. We had about 1,700 people there for the symphony. Completely different vibe, and that's the key to this. How do you draw a variety, spectrum of guests? You offer a variety of events, whether that be musical genres or different types of events that I'll touch a little bit on that are not musical, that also get as many fresh faces into the venue as possible. One event we were very proud of this year was a cultural celebration day. This, again, is a type of event where We're looking to draw multicultural guests and also multicultural performers and vendors and food vendors to Fox Pointe to be able to introduce, again, a wide spectrum of individuals and cultures to our venue. And we worked our butt off. If anybody attended, they know that August 17th was one of the rainiest days we had all summer long. We got downpoured on 4 times in 6 hours, but the event itself was still very successful. We are committed to this event, and it will be coming back in 2025 on June the 21st, right, Donna? My memory? Another event, Mexico and El Corazon. We set a new attendance record this year. We had 2,500 people at this event. It was a fantastic evening, again, a great weather night, and this is a celebration of Hispanic culture, music, dance. It's well worth it to see so many families, and again, first-time people that haven't been to Fox Pointe for other events be there this year. We have 2 big events that are still coming up this year. Our Fox Pointe Trick or Treat. I want to make sure all the business owners in the room that don't know about this. This was an event we started in the COVID year to try and have something when everything was just starting to open back up again. And what we do is we basically have schools, organizations, churches, businesses, nonprofits. We average about 1,500 to 2,000 people at this event. And they come in our main gate and they work their way around the perimeter of our entire venue. We had no idea, just to show you how sometimes an idea can come, as we sat in planning, what can we do in 2020? We came up with this event. Not only was it successful in 2020, when everybody was looking for something to do, it has held its strength in 21, 22, and 23, and we expect it again this year. If you're interested, please visit foxpointe.org. Great way to publicize your business and get the word out about whatever you have. You can talk to the adults while the kids get the candy. It's 2-tiered. And then finally at Fox Pointe, our winter holiday kickoff this year. We have always had in Lansing our historical tree lighting that usually is right after Thanksgiving. Because Thanksgiving is so late this year, we are moving it up to the day after Thanksgiving, and we are adding a second night of entertainment, not so much entertainment, but attractions that will be there for our guests. What we're trying to do is build up this winter market, if you will. There will be a tent with vendors underneath it on Randolph Street. We will have attractions under our pavilion and our holiday trees, which we have done for the last 4 years. This will be the 5th year of holiday trees. You can sponsor a holiday tree. You come out, you decorate it after we put the lights on it, and you get a sign that plugs your business or your family, and they ring the entire infield of Fox Pointe. That's one of the main attractions to get people there from the optics look. Then we want to be able to have things for them to do. We're going to have a synthetic ice rink this year. We just closed on that this morning, as a matter of fact. We're going to have a giant snow globe that family can take pictures in. So the more that we have to do over these 2 days, the more that people will stay there longer than for the tree lighting and then leave. So that's just, again, a little synopsis, if you will, of what we've done at Fox Pointe this year. This is a huge reason that we have some businesses that have come to Lansing. So if you talk to S&O Wine Bar, if you talk to Pour on Roy, if you talk to Gaieties, if you talk to Kilroy's, the business that they pick up on event days and even after our events has been something that we're proud of, and Dan can attest to this from having talked to a lot of developers. The word is getting out about Fox Pointe and it being a driver for economic development, especially to the Ridge Road area. Transitioning to the Lansing Sports Complex up at 16700 Chicago Avenue. This is kind of an overhead of our athletic facilities. You see 4 ball fields, and then in the upper left there you can see what used to be tennis courts, and they were converted to outdoor volleyball courts 20 plus years ago, and they're still used for that today. This is an area that, when you talk about different types of things that draw people here, music, those types of things obviously draw people. Specific events draw individuals, and then you have sports and youth sports in particular. And so those of you that have children or grandchildren or whatever it may be in youth sports, you know that a lot of this has shifted to the travel world, to travel sports. Everybody's got a team, but nobody has a home because everybody comes from a different city. So one of the things that we are doing is starting to put money into this entire facility to not only always have a place for Lansing registrants to play. I'm talking Little League, Babe Ruth baseball, or not Babe Ruth, girls softball, Lansing volleyball. But then specifically having groups come. For example, we have a travel softball program that has come to us from ALSIP and is now using our softball field as their training center in the fall. Those are the types of things we want to get, long-term commitments into the venue that are obviously paying us to use it, but are also then publicizing the fact that this venue exists. Again, who's playing there now? You see Little League girls softball, volleyball. We've had rentals from high school teams, travel baseball and softball tournaments. We're still working on that part of it. Summer college baseball leagues is something that we have a real good lead on for our big field, our Major League Diamond. And then even groups like Roy Hobbs Men's League Baseball. I've also been contacted by a gentleman who represents the Negro League World Series that they may want to bring to the sports complex. So getting these types of individuals who may not be from Lansing into Lansing, spending their money in your businesses is what we are looking to do. And then there is the Ford Hangar on the south end. For those that don't know the history, it is coming up on its 100th anniversary. Since 2017, we have been working and working and working to turn this hangar into an event venue. And this is the building, folks, that we get the most interest in. We get the most calls about, can I have my blank there? Everything from a photo shoot to jewelry commercials to weddings. We have another wedding coming up on October 19th. It is exactly in this lane of what people are looking for. Where can I have an event that's unique? Where can I have an event that no one else has ever had something at? This venue, the Ford Hangar, and what it can provide is really the future of this particular venue is, when I say it's unknown, the ceiling for it is unknown, because the more we can do to make this, people want to be near this venue. And a large part of it is the history. It's also at an airport, and people love airports. So the last bride and groom that got married there did a first fly instead of a first dance. So they had their guests out on our cocktail area. They took off. They're both pilots. They took off to the west, circled around, did about 15 minutes, came back in, and I said, well, that's pretty cool. So our destination drivers, Fox Pointe, the Ford Hangar, and the sports complex, all bring kind of a different and unique aspect to economic development. My job and my goal is to drive people here not only for the first time and to be impressed, but also to get them to come back. And we're doing that at Fox Pointe. We're trying to do that at the sports complex and the hangar as well. And I will tell you that the hangar is the one, pardon the pun, it will take off as we continue to work on the restoration and the ability to add even more guest enhancement to what we can offer. So that is my time. I appreciate your...
So that was pretty interesting, right? I thought it was. You know, when you're a regular resident of a village and you attend events, you go to a Fox Pointe concert, you play sports at the sports complex, you don't think about the economic purpose of those things. You don't think about the strategy behind them. So I thought it was helpful to sit in on that chamber event and to hear Ken talk about the intentionality that is behind those three spaces. We do want to attract visitors to our community. We do want to attract spenders. We want to support our local businesses, and one of the ways to do that is to bring them in and give them something to enjoy. So I found it interesting. I hope you did too. And I will provide links to those three signature spaces, those destination drivers, in the description below. And if you have questions, of course, feel free to email me. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for your engagement. We appreciate your support and your readership, your viewership. It means a lot to us. And I will see you again next week.